Work is a business transaction and you need to start treating it that way. Hey everybody, it's Brian from Life After Layoff, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about a concept I've been thinking a lot about lately. It's about work and the true nature of the relationship between the two parties. And if you can shift your mentality to really look at it from more of a business transactional relationship, it'll probably help clarify some of the decisions that you need to make in your career and acting more like an owner. So let's look at the two different parties in the interviewing setting a little bit more closely and define each one of their roles. First, you have the employer, and they are essentially what I'd like to call the buyer in the situation. Now, why are they the buyer? Because an employer who posts a position is looking to solve a business problem. And I've spoken a lot about this on my channel, so you should be pretty familiar with this concept, but they have a problem that they're trying to solve, and they are looking for somebody who can solve their problem. And so in other words, they're looking to purchase skills, experience, knowledge, abilities, all of those things in order to help solve the business problem. And on the flip side, you've got the employee or the potential employee, and they are essentially the seller. And I use the analogy of free agency on this channel quite a bit because I think it's a pretty accurate mindset that you need to have. But I want to kind of even twist it a little further and give you another angle in which to look at it, because again, I think that this is really going to help clarify some of the frustration that I see job seekers have, because they look at it from the reverse, where they are the buyer and the employer is the seller. And I think it's really important to look honestly at that relationship and how you've approached that relationship in your career, because when you are the buyer in a situation, essentially the buyer controls all the cards, and the seller is in most cases relying on the buyer to fulfill their end of the bargain. Now, there are certain circumstances where in a seller's market, where there is more buyers than there are sellers, then the positions kind of do shift. And I think probably right now, as I record this video, we're probably in more of a seller's market than we are a buyer's market. But we also have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, we need the buyer to give us the best possible opportunity if we want to fulfill our career goal. So let's look at it from another angle. And I would use another analogy because I'm big on analogies. I feel like they're really helpful to paint context to the picture. But I moved into this new house, and let's just say that I'm looking for a plumber to help do some plumbing work around here, install some new fixtures and things like that. So essentially what I do is I go off, I have the problem, my business problem, which is I need somebody that can fix and install plumbing that I don't have the skills or the time to do, and I'm willing to pay them for that. So I go off and I try to find this plumber, and I advertise, I maybe ask word of mouth, I go off and I do a variety of search to try to find the best possible plumber for a reasonable price. Now, if I've got a luxury home and I really want the best quality plumbing done, I need to raise my price and offer that to the seller of the service. So I need to pony up for that essentially. And in this case, maybe I only need a plumber that can install a faucet. Pretty much any plumber can install that faucet. It's not a unique skill set. And so maybe my price point is a little lower. So let's look at it from the plumber's perspective. In this case, the plumber is the seller of the service. So the plumber's first job is to make sure that they're discoverable, right? So if I'm a buyer and I'm looking for a plumber and I can't find you, then you're never going to get hired. So we got to learn how to market ourselves, be in the right place at the right time, build up nice networks of referrals, and we need to advertise correctly and do all the things that we need to do in order to give ourselves the best possible opportunity to be discovered by the buyer. Once I found the plumber, they now have to convince me that they're the best possible plumber to solve my household problem, which is to install the faucet in a quick and economical fashion. So as I interview them and I get quotes and all of that kind of stuff, I'm asking the questions of what kind of experience do you have installing this type of faucet? How quickly can you get it done? What does your schedule look like? So I am essentially assessing the plumber on all these criteria to make sure that I'm getting the best possible service for my money. So again, it's the plumber's job to make sure that they are presenting themselves in the most effective manner. Then let's take a look at compensation. Now, when we talk compensation for the plumber, generally speaking, you're going to ask the plumber, how much is it going to cost for you to install my faucet for me? So in this case, the plumber has to decide how badly do they want this job? How well does it fit with them? and how cost competitive they want to be. But the plumber is not coming back to the buyer and saying, you need to tell me how much you're going to pay me before I tell you whether or not I'm going to show up. So again, it's this buyer-seller relationship that seems to be a bit skewed. I think there's a lot of frustration when you switch this analogy back to the employment situation, because essentially what we are as job seekers, we're the plumber, and we're trying to convince the buyer, the homeowner, that we are the best possible fit for them, and we also know what our value is. Now, there are going to be some people who are cheapskates who are not going to be wanting to purchase a high-powered plumber for a job that might be pretty menial. There's also some people that are not realistic about the kind of plumber that they really want and what they can truly afford. And so they might be going in and shopping for the most expensive plumbers, but they really don't have the budget for it. And then there's going to be certain plumbers that are going to undervalue themselves, and the employer is going to take advantage of that. So at the end of the day, you as the plumber or the free agent or the job applicant, you need to know exactly what your worth is and learn to determine whether or not the positions that are in front of you are worth your time. And be comfortable with the fact that, hey, this position may not be a right fit for me. Now, if you're always that plumber who is going from job to job to job, underbidding yourself because you're always working out of fear, then you're going to be probably in the mindset of, I'll take any jobs that I can get. And the danger of that is it becomes a vicious cycle. The more you do that, the more you get branded as that, and the more you become okay or accustomed to that certain lifestyle. But the more you value yourself correctly, the better off you'll be in your long-term career success. But we have to learn as the plumber that sometimes the client is not the best fit for us. And that's okay to walk away from an opportunity if it's just not the right opportunity, if the client is going to be expecting more than the job is worth. Sometimes it's okay to say, thanks, but I think you should keep on looking. So as we look at ourselves from the perspective of the plumber, know what your value is and stand firm in it. And learn how to sell yourself better than the other plumbers, and find the right pools of people to sell your plumbing services to. We don't want to go into the low-end plumbing pool. We want to play in the big pool where we're getting the highest possible wage ranges. We're working with the best quality homeowners, and we're giving ourselves the best opportunities to improve our skill set and to move into a position of power inside of that industry. So what this all boils down to is if you are frustrated in your job search and in the employment arrangement that you're in, are you acting like an owner? Are you acting like the owner of your individual business? Because that's essentially what we all are. We are private business owners, free agents. We have our own plumbing business, but we have to treat ourselves accordingly. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of perspective and how you approach your career going forward. Know your worth, know how to market yourself, and only accept the best possible opportunities. But if you need more help, that's actually something that I specialize in. Now, I can't help you become a better plumber, but I can help you in your career search. Got a website called lifeafterlayoff.com. It's loaded with tips and tricks, all from an insider's perspective. And I also have some of my deepest and most intimate knowledge in the form of some training courses. The first one is called Resume Rocketfuel. It is designed to teach you how to get in front of those buyers in the most effective manner possible, and ultimately to get that first phone call. But it's up to you to sell yourself and show them why you're the best possible plumber, and your price is very reasonable for the value that you bring. And that's where the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp comes into place, and it takes you through each step of that interviewing process, ultimately gets you to that offer stage and helps you land the best possible fit for yourself. So if you're struggling in your job search, I highly recommend that you check it out. Appreciate you watching today. Hopefully you got some value out of this video, and we will see you on the next one.